What's going on, YouTube? Glad to be back with you. This is your boy Benjamin Dixon. We are starting the show in about uh, 90 seconds. So I want to thank you guys for joining us and buckle up for the ride. I've been away for a little while, so even before I start, I want to thank April Rain, the Rain of April, for holding it down for me while I was gone. All right, folks. So hold tight for about 45 more seconds, and we're going to rock and roll with the Benjamin Dixon Show live from Boston.
And here we go.
It's the Benjamin Dixon Show.
Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is
not merely peace in our time, but peace in all time.
I have no fear whatsoever of anybody or anything.
Did you think no one was watching?
Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.
your mission.
Suppose we go where no man has gone before.
To reclaim the American dream,
To be given the right of human beings to be afforded equal rights and equal opportunities.
It's the Benjamin Dixon Show. If you're hearing his voice, you're hearing the voice of reason.
You certainly come to the right place.
I'm back, ladies and gentlemen. And it's so good to be here with you.
You know you like that.
I've been gone a little while.
You know you like that. You know you like that.
Do you really? No, you don't. I think I just need to hear my own voice. All right. Enough of that. Cut that out. All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I feel like I've been gone forever. It really 2 weeks, man. 2 weeks is a long time. And before I even go any further, I want to thank the Rain of April Rain, for holding it down for me while I was gone. She stepped in and took care of 3 of the 6 shows. I think one of the shows I gave you guys greetings from Costa Rica. But I really appreciate April, her insight, her intelligence, her class, and her willingness to just jump out there and do what a lot of people are afraid to do. So a lot of people are afraid to just jump out there and put themselves out there on Front Street. But she took the challenge and went with it. And I'm looking at the video counts. She has some good views. She has like a lot more views than I normally get. So I'm grateful for that. I also want to thank my producer, Robin Samus 1225. I want to thank him out there in Houston for holding it down while I was gone. He jumped in and made sure that everything went well for April, and made sure that everything ran according to plan. So right now we're back to business as usual. Actually, a little bit better. My time in Costa Rica, it wasn't a vacation. You know, whenever you say Costa Rica, people automatically think vacation, but it wasn't. I mean, as much as I wish that it was, I am, to a certain extent, I am refreshed. I'm back with new energy, ready to go. But it wasn't because it was a vacation. It's because I missed you guys. It's because I really miss talking with you and talking about the politics of the day or what's ever going on philosophically, whatever needs to be tackled on race issues, on just human rights issues and things of that nature. I miss talking with you guys. So in the sense that I was gone and there was a void and there was a gap, it was refreshing because now I'm ready just to take on the world all over again. So I definitely want to thank April Rain. I want to thank my producer, Samus 1225. I want to thank every one of you that listened, that tuned in, that watched, and that made this happen while I was gone. I was gone doing my study abroad program for my doctoral program. And we studied the ecotourism down in Costa Rica. My doctoral field is international development. And I want to thank, I have a lot of people to thank because 2 weeks away from home, 2 weeks away from your family, when you're at this stage, I know there are different stages in family life. And, sometimes 2 weeks is just enough. Uh, oh, my bad, producer. It's okay, I hear you. So anyway, 2 weeks away during okay, I'm sorry. I'm reading messages from my producer. He wanted to remain anonymous. Well, whatever. It is what it is. You're down. You're down with the Benjamin Dixon show, and so people are going to know who you are, obviously, right? So anyway, um, 2 weeks away from home at this stage, where I have little kids. I have kids who aren't even in kindergarten yet, and my wife. That is a long time away to not see your family. So I was so glad when my plane finally landed in Boston on Saturday. As actually was around Sunday morning, around midnight. So it was great to be a part of that experience in Costa Rica. Learned a lot of lectures. I want to tell you guys so much about what happened. I want them to know about all the things that we learned in Costa Rica, but more than just what we learned, what we experienced. It was insanity. Climbing mountains, going down mountains, going through jungles. I mean, my field is political science / economics and / international security. Though that's the intersection of my doctoral field. But the trip was all about ecotourism and how Costa Rica, in the absence of a military, which is why I was there. I wanted to know how the effect of not having a military, what effect that has on their economy. I wanted to know those things, but a part of it were other doctoral students who were into all these other fields. So we were in the jungle. I mean, we were dealing with vipers, scorpions in our beds. Not one, not two, but 3 different scorpions that we had to deal with. I mean, spiders, I have a small bit of arachnophobia, but spiders no longer bother me because there's so many other big creatures out there that can kill you a lot faster than a spider. So, I mean, waking up with spiders in your bed was not, unheard of during this trip. So I would wake up and go to the bathroom, go to the loo or whatever, and kill 3 or 4 spiders on the way, jump in the shower in the morning, realize I'm showering not just with crickets, but I'm showering with spiders. And we were out roughing it. And I'm a country boy by accent. I know I have a Southern accent, but I'm not a country boy by heart. I'm a city boy by heart. I don't do that. That's not where my mindset is. Some people loved it. They loved the rustic life. All they wanted to do was get out there in the sticks and deal. No, that wasn't for me. So, but in the midst of it, we learned a lot. I learned a lot about myself, and it was a great experience. We were not in the Costa Rica that they put in the brochures. Let me tell you. That's not where we were. We were in the Costa Rica that is still developing. We were in the Costa Rica that didn't have paved roads. We were in the Costa Rica where the indigenous people lived, where, where it was just roughing it doesn't even describe it. I have some pictures and whatnot. I'll share them on the Facebook page, and I shared a lot of videos. So it was a mixture of experiences. And then finally on the last Friday that we were there, we got to the city of Tamarindo and got a chance to see the beautiful side of Costa Rica. So for at least one day we got to see what everyone was talking about. 1 out of 14 days, we got a chance to see all of the beautiful things that everyone talks about all the time. But a lot of interesting things and parallels between Costa Rica and the United States. Interesting to see that they don't have a military, yet they're still protected by the international community, all these different types of things. Now, I want to talk about that, and I want to talk about some of the things. Here's the other thing. I was completely disconnected, not because they don't have internet down there, but because they don't have consistent internet. It's like spotty. No matter where we went, it was hit or miss. So there's a lot of things that I'm just catching up on this morning, finding out what's going on around the national community, American community, with regard to all the issues, the oil spill. I just caught wind of that late last night. So I'm still unpacking that to find out all of the details of what happened and the tragedy that's happening over there. The issue in Cleveland, the protests that are going on in Cleveland with regard to the not guilty verdict. That's just coming across my desk last night. And I'm going to unpack some of that for you guys probably by Wednesday. Have an exciting show coming up for you on Wednesday. We have a guest, Michelangelo, Michelangelo Signorelli. He is a host of the Michelangelo Signorelli show on Sirius XM. He's going to be here. He's an LGBTQ activist. He's been on Sirius and XM for, I think, over a decade now. He's the editor at Huffington Post, Gay Voices. Excuse me. And so he's going to be here on Wednesday, and we're going to talk about the intersection between civil rights and LGBTQ rights, and the parallels, and how both how we have things in common, and then how there are also issues that we need to overcome, so that our communities can work together better for all things positive, for equal rights across the board, and a lot of misconceptions and all those kind of things. That's coming up on Wednesday. So we have an exciting week coming up for you. I'm catching up on all the things with the charges, apparently. And if I'm saying this wrong, it's only out of ignorance because, like I said, I've been disconnected for 2 weeks. But it came across my Twitter timeline that they're charging posthumously. They're charging Tamir Rice, 12-year-old boy, with some kind of cockamamie charges. Is the only word I can think of right now. So I'll find out what's going on with that and relay it back to you guys. You guys probably know more about that right now than I do, but it's a little troubling. But still, what's on my mind right now is I'm just glad to be back with you guys, to talk with you guys, to give you a little bit of the experiences that we had in Costa Rica. And it's also Memorial Day. So two huge things that today's show is going to be about. It's going to be about some of the things that happen in Costa Rica, but not directly with my studies, right? I had an opportunity to sit down with some good friends, some different people from some different Black people from different islands, that we go back. We've been together in this program for 3 or 4 years, and had a chance to discuss some things with them. And it really opened up some of my thinking with regards to why I consider myself an African-American, and the culture of the African-American culture, different nuances like that. And then also I want to talk about what it is, the American side, right? So we have the African-American that I am, but there's an interesting dichotomy. I am both an African-American, but inside of my title is American. And so part of my culture is American culture. And today is Memorial Day, and so I want to unpack that and discuss some of those things with you. So that's what's going on. I'm going to go to an early break. I'm going to go to an early break, but special thanks to April Rain. I want everyone to go to Twitter at Reign of April, and I want you to follow her. I want you to support her in whatever she does, because I trust her opinion, her insight, her intellect, her delivery, and she's a good friend of the Benjamin Dixon Show, and I would definitely have her back. Oh, and there's a lot of great things coming around the corner just for the show in general. If you can't tell, I've got a lot to unload to you guys today, and I don't have much time to do it in. So we're going to go to a break. After this break, we'll be back. This is the Benjamin Dixon Show. Buckle up for the ride. I'm so glad to be back with you. Are you glad to have me back? Don't answer that question. You don't have to answer that question. But if you're tuned in, that means you're glad to have me back, and I'm glad to be here. All right, we'll be back after this break.
When you're ready to lose weight, why count, track, and worry over every meal? Jenny Craig makes it simple. Just walk into a neighborhood Jenny Craig center or give us a call. You'll meet your dedicated personal consultant who helps you reach your goals. Together, you'll pick out delicious Jenny Craig foods that you'll love and design a menu that fits your life. And the best part is that you can get started losing weight right away. Don't wait any longer to take advantage of our best offer ever. Call 1-800-JENNY20 or visit jennycraig.com.
This is the sound of salmonella gyrating on your undercooked chicken. And it looks like Mom might be taking it out a little early. Don't let salmonella get funky with your chicken. On average, 1 in 6 Americans will get a foodborne illness this year. So use a thermometer to cook each type of meat to the right temperature. Keep your family safe at foodsafety.gov. Brought to you by the USDA, HHS, and the Ad Council.
On the next episode of Recipes for Disaster.
I'm making beef sliders for my friend Sandy. Nana taught me to always pull meat off the grill early, so it's extra juicy.
Use a food thermometer to ensure ground beef is 160 degrees, or you could make people really sick. Sandy didn't think twice about the slider she ate until yoga class, when a nasty case of food poisoning turned her downward-facing dog into upward-moving lunch. Watch Recipes for Disaster at foodsafety.gov and learn the steps Maria unwittingly leaves out. Brought to you by the USDA, HHS, and the Ad Council.
When I grow up, I want to be a new pair of blue jeans.
When I grow up, I want to be a kid's first computer.
A warm place on a cold day.
Football
I want to be a
stadium.
bike that races around the country.
I want to be a bench on a forest trail.
When I grow up, I don't want to be a piece of garbage. And if you recycle me, I won't be.
Give your garbage another life. Recycle. Learn how at iwanttoberecycled.org. Brought to you by Keep America Beautiful and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the Benjamin Dixon Show. If you're hearing his voice, you're hearing the voice of reason.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. So I just got a text message from my wife, who is, well, they're off because of Memorial Day. And so the kids are with her this morning while I do the show. And it just touched my heart. Oh, goodness. And she said that my son is listening to me on the radio, and he wants to know if he could have the show later. And he wants to listen to me all the time. You know, just kind of warms you, kind of makes your day. Hey, Benjamin. So anyway, obviously he has my name, so there's no hidden mystery there. You know, you have to be careful. If you notice, anyone who follows me on Facebook, you'll notice I don't really share a lot of personal pictures anymore because of the show. To be honest with you, I'm trying to keep something separate, like, you know, with regards to my personal life and all those kind of things, because, you know, the stuff that I talk about, obviously I've got a lot of trolls, and it's just beginning. So but anyway, I don't know why that was important to share, but yeah, hey kids, love you. So while I was in Costa Rica, we met this interesting young lady, and to be honest with you, I think she was dynamic in certain ways, and I think she was not so dynamic in other ways. But her name was Marjorie, and she is an attorney in a city called Coweta. I can't pronounce it right. And she gave us a lecture. She lectured our class, our cohort, about her experiences. It was more of, in many regards, it was she did not want to identify herself as a feminist, but the things that she was saying were so important to intersectionality, feminism and intersectionality, that I really wanted, I hope that she heard me. She's on Twitter, and I encourage her to get on Twitter even more and start sharing her concepts and the experiences that she's had as a woman in a city in Costa Rica that is known for and this is, and I'm not making this up. There are scholarly articles about this, about European women from Germany, women from the UK, and some Canadian women, many coming to the small city of Coweta, whatever, Cahuita. I can spell it. I can't even say it. But they come and they find them. Basically, if you've seen how Stella got her groove back, or if you've read it, that's exactly what's happening. But they're European descent, mostly white, and they come and they find these young Caribbean. On the Caribbean side, a lot of the descendants come from Jamaica, so they're Afro. They come from African descent, and they connect with them and they take them away to another country, or they bring money to them, and they have this romantic, a romance tourism is what one of the articles referred to it as. And so she gave her perspective of how that has damaged the community, how that has damaged the men, and how that has left a lot of women in the wake of taking care of the entire community, not just the individual kids, not just individual families, but the community at large. And it seems to be happening. It's a small country. and so this is a small city in the country, and so it's happening on a large scale percentage wise for that city. Now, in terms of raw numbers, it's probably not that many if you look in terms of America, but for a city that small, you know, if you take 100 men out of the community, you've done a huge disservice to that community. So all of that to say that those are some of the things that she gave insight on, and I was really enthralled by that portion of her debate. And then she went over into some other stuff that I wasn't so, you know, it was like, you know, whatever. But we had a chance to sit down afterwards. And this is what I disagreed with her on. And I let her know, you know, whatever. But she had an antipathy towards African Americans. Now she's African descent, so she is Afro Costa Rican, whatever. I don't know how they've, you know, whatever, but she's Black in Costa Rica. And so she, because of some experiences that she had when she came to the United States, she has an antipathy towards African Americans. It's just what it is. And one of the things that she said that that struck a nerve and quite frankly offended me was this idea that African Americans don't have culture. And before I could even say anything, the first thing she did was dismissed Martin Luther King, because every country has a Martin Luther King. And oh, don't bring up Martin Luther King, you know, right? So almost as a way of preemptively or trying to define the conversation of culture, she just kind of just completely just brushed off Dr. King. So, you know, for about 2 hours there, or maybe an hour, it just seemed longer, we went back and forth with a large group of people of African descent who were not from America. They were from Haiti, they were from Jamaica, from the Bahamas, from Dominica, not the Dominican Republic, but Dominica. And so they start giving their opinions on African American culture. Now, I don't have enough time to unpack all that, because I actually want to deal with just the American side, because this is Memorial Day, and I want to make sure that I properly give you the entire image of the way I see the dichotomy of being an African in America, and why it is that I personally, I know a lot of Black people don't want to be known as African American because white people are known as European American. I get that, and that's your prerogative. But for me, it's important because there is a difference. When you say Black American, it kind of lumps us all into one group, but there's so many diverse, unique experiences and cultures that are wrapped up into the title of Black American. And so you have the Haitian American, you have the Jamaican American, you have the Bahamian American, you have the Dominican American, and all of us are from African descent. And each one of us comes from a unique culture. And in the conversation, and one of my good friends who wrote a paper about collectivism versus individualism in the African American experiences versus the Haitian American experience. I know I said a lot there, but it's a great paper. At least the discussion that we had about the paper was great, and I hope he's feeling better. I want to get him on the show and to discuss it. But one of the contingencies that came out of Marjorie from Costa Rica was that African Americans don't have a culture. Now, the reason that struck a nerve with me is because this narrative is forwarded by I've heard this before, and I've heard this before from white Americans. And it kind of struck, yeah, okay, but yeah, I understand that. I got to stop reading messages from my producer in the middle of the show. So anyway, all right, back to this. We're African American. So I've heard this before from white Americans that Black people, African Americans, don't have a culture. And so what I had to lay out for them was the fact that African Americans, even though our African culture was destroyed, because it was, our names, our religion, or whatever, our lack of religion, whatever, our identities, everything. When we were robbed, our entire African culture was destroyed, no doubt. Some of us are trying to connect back to that. That's fine. And that's your prerogative, right? But in the context of American history, African Americans have built a culture and a legacy that is inseparable from America. Period. James Baldwin said it best. He said, I'm not a steward of I'm not a ward of America. I'm not some a beneficiary of missionary of missionary grace. You know, we're not here as people who are just being taken care of by America. Our bones, as far back as America goes, Black people's bones are buried in America. Our blood is in the soil of America. We fought and died in every single war that America has had, to greater or lesser extent, greater numbers or lesser numbers, but we have fought in every single war that America, from the War of Independence, the Revolutionary War, to the wars that are going on right now. There is not an American war that African Americans, that Black people have not fought and died in. There's not one piece of land, maybe I'm being hyperbolic on this one, but you get the idea. There's not one piece of land, of property, of commerce, of industry that has not been touched by African Americans. All throughout American history, the White House was built by slaves. Communities were built. The entire American economy was built on the backs of slave labor. And there would be no industrial revolution without the economy of slavery and cotton picking. Not just in the South, cotton benefited all the way to the North. There are mills in Lowell, Massachusetts, that used to process the cotton that was taken from the South. So every corner of America, throughout all of American history, Blacks, African Americans, the people who did not have an island, the people who did not have their own country, America became our country. Why? Because we are, like James Baldwin said, we are the people. We are one of the people who built this nation. And so African American culture is completely inseparable from American culture. There is a unique dichotomy. Yes, we have an experience that other Americans do not have, which is why I proudly add on the African part to American. If you want to know why we say African American, it's because we are not just Americans, but we are a people with a unique identity inside of America. And you can't expect us to whitewash that. You can't expect us to forget that and just remove that. Our culture is both American culture, which is why when I got off the plane in Boston and I walked through the corridors, I saw a new presentation that they put up coming from the Southwest Terminal. And I looked up and I saw the picture of JFK looking at the Apollo missions, the space shuttle for the Apollo. I don't have the exact name for it, but it was a beautiful mural. And then you heard his speech talking about why we choose to go to the moon, because it's difficult. We don't choose to go because it's easy. We choose to go because it's difficult. And when I saw that resonated inside of me, because that is a part of my culture. That is something that my forefathers contributed to help build. And so I am both an African American, but inside of that phrase is both the experience of being American and being Black in America. Without any other island, I don't have an island to call home. America is my home. America is ours. And that's what all of these protests are about right now. It is about, and it is, I want you to understand that it is the same struggle that other marginalized groups are having. It's the same struggle that immigrants are having. Hispanics are having. It's the same struggle that women are having. It's the same struggle that that religious minorities or atheists are having. It's the same struggle that the LGBTQ community is having, because America is all of ours. Without us having to whitewash our individual collective identities. I don't have to disavow my blackness to be an American. I am both black and American. I am an African American. You don't have to disavow your faith to be an American. You don't have to be the standard conservative evangelical Christian white male to be an American. You don't even have to speak English to be an American. America belongs to everyone that promise touches. All right. I'm going to unpack that more after this break and tell you why all this is significant on Memorial Day. It's good to be back, folks. I've got so much on my mind, so much that I've got to say, but I'll say it after this last break. This is the Benjamin Dixon Show.
You're tuned in to the Benjamin Dixon Show. Join the conversation, 857-600-0518.
Looking for the right business opportunity? Need the right product, the right marketing plan, and the absolute best training in the world? Well, look no further. The Elite Team. Every leader in time excels. They believe the key ingredients in becoming successful in life and in business are just a keystroke away. Go to www.eliteteamsite.com. That's www.eliteteamsite.com. The Elite Team has a system in place that will move you closer to achieving your goals and dreams. Visit www.eliteteamsite.com or TonyFlemingEnterprises.com today.
College is important, but it can also be expensive. College Planning Services is a group of educators, administrators, counselors, and other licensed professionals that work together to provide the necessary services, networks, and information to reach students that are serious about getting a college education. College Planning Services partners with financial institutions, corporate sponsors, and other major players in the global market to strategize in building a pool of information regarding financial aid, scholarships, and funding information to assist students in preparing to access the essential resources to build upon their path to an educational future. Learn more at collegeplanningtoday.com and let us help you start your college career.
Do you want to take your business to the next level? Ultimate Business Solutions provides the support you need to increase your customer base and sell more products and services online. Specializing in graphic arts, web development, and internet marketing, Ultimate Business Solutions creates the face of your business. If you're looking for a custom logo, dynamic website, or popping marketing material, call Ultimate Business Solutions today at 404-704-2197 or visit www.ultimatebizsolutions.com. Ultimate Business Solutions. Let us create your future.
Do you have tax issues, owe back taxes, or need tax relief? Contact L&B Tax Service today. L&B offers you over 15 years of expertise and first-class tax service for individuals, professionals, and business owners. With nationwide service, you can easily find a location near you. Contact one of our tax professionals through our website, lbtaxservice.com. That's www.lbtaxservice.com. L&B Tax Service Incorporated. Tax professionals that you can trust.
You've tuned in to the Benjamin Dixon Show.
All right. Welcome back. So it's kind of like Bill O'Reilly when he said, he always says this or something to this effect, where he says that it's okay to be Muslim Americans so long as the American comes first and the Muslim comes second. I don't agree with that, because in that way, you make it seem as though you have to choose between your identity. And I wish I had more time to prep this morning. I didn't, because there's a quote from W.E.B. Du Bois in his book, The Soul of Black Folks. I have to paraphrase it, but I'm sorry, I was connecting wires. I had to get up at 5 this morning and just start connecting cables again to make sure everything worked right. But in The Soul of Black Folks, W.E.B. Du Bois talks about the dichotomy of being both Black and American. It's not either or, it's both and. And the fact that we're able to, inside of us, maintain this dichotomy gives us a unique perspective that someone who is simple, that other people just don't have. I mean, maybe you have it. Maybe you have it in a unique way. Maybe if you're white American, you don't have a dichotomy. You don't have any struggle between identifying between your ethnic culture and your national culture, because all of your life it's been cast as the same thing. But for the rest of us, all of our lives, we've been told it's something different. We've been told that, think about the conversations that you have. I've heard people say things like, if you don't like America, then go back to Africa, as if we are just guests here. But you have to understand, I want you to understand, if nothing else today, I want you to understand that we are both. This is our home. When you say go home, America is our home. My culture doesn't come from Haiti. My culture doesn't come from Dominica. My culture doesn't come from Costa. My culture comes from America. And that might be sad to some people because, you know, I can only go back about, I guess, 6 or 7 generations. I can't go back to what tribe I was connected to in Africa. I can't. I don't know. I don't know if I'm. And even if I could, our cultures are so different now that I probably would not be welcomed in Africa. And so what happens is that you take people and you bring them to a country and you completely obliterate any notions of their past. And what do Black people do? African Americans do? We build something new inside of America based on the promise that was never intended for us. Based on the promise that all men are created equal. Based on the promise that we are endowed with inalienable rights. Based on the promises. Even though that document said that we are only 3/5 of a human being, African Americans contributed to this country, built this country. We go just as far back as anybody else in this country. Well, with the exception of maybe, 1492. I don't know if we were here. Some African American scholar, please send me a tweet and correct me. I'm not sure on that point. But from the point of the founding of this nation, we have been here and we have been contributing. And so we do not have to choose between our Black culture and American culture. They are inseparable. They are intertwined. They are one and the same. And so I am both proud to be an American as much as I am proud to be a Black American. And I get it from both sides. I don't want to just cast this over on tacitly cast it, because I haven't done it directly, but I don't want to tacitly cast this over onto the white community as if this is a problem that you need to understand. I need some folks in the Black community to understand me. I was made in America. My family goes back generations. And so when I say the Pledge of Allegiance, or when I sing the Star Spangled Banner, don't look at me crazy because I do it with a sense of pride. You may not do it. That may not be your thing. Cool. But for me, when I hear John Kennedy speak, I hear him speaking to me. When I hear his brother Robert Kennedy speak, I hear him speaking to me. I don't care. I don't care about their failings on civil rights issues. I don't care about Lyndon B. Johnson's failings and direct racism that came from Lyndon B. Johnson. I don't care. You know why? because we are doing something here in America that has never been done before. Paraphrasing James Baldwin, we are creating a collective society out of disparate and different and unique people, each of us trying to find our own way in the hodgepodge of American history that is both disgusting and beautiful, both bloody and noble. We've done some terrible things as Americans. From the day we stepped foot on American soil, we've done terrible things, but we've done some good things too. And so I am both proud to be Black as well as I'm proud to be American. I do not have to choose, Bill O'Reilly, whether or not America is going to come first or whether or not Black is going to come first. I don't have to choose. See, in the minds of people like you, who have been able to hide and go along with the flow of American history without anyone ever telling you that you were different, without anyone ever discriminating against you, without anyone ever trying to tell you that this is not your home. In the minds of people like you, you cannot fathom the idea that we can be more and that we can be both. For you, it's a matter of, am I going to accept the whitewashed version of America? That's the problem for you. And so people like Bill O'Reilly and Fox News and a lot of conservatives, they want us to dismiss our culture, our heritage, and accept the whitewashed version of American society. Here, let me break it down like this. The idea of the melting pot. There's two conceptualizations with the melting pot. America's supposed to be the melting pot, right? You have some people who feel like that melting pot should melt away all of our uniqueness. Yet people who feel like that melting pot should purge us, and what comes out should be this ultra right-wing evangelical Christian version of America, this 1953 nuclear family version of America. But what they fail to realize is that the melting pot changes the pot as well. That we are not going, the people who are inserted and mixed in this culture are not mixed to come out and look like you and act like you and have policies like you and play politics like you. No, the melting pot changes the very nature of the pot itself. In other words, every unique individual culture that is placed in America is going to change America, and is going to change it for the better. And so, no, the Hispanic person who comes here, the person who came in first or second, third generation from Haiti, the person who from different backgrounds, different religions, and different orientations, all of us are not put into this pot just so that we can pop out Bill O'Reilly's and Sean Hannity's. It's so that America can become that new thing that has never before been seen. In the history of mankind, there has not been a society that was both unique and unified. There's not been a society where people have been able to maintain their individual culture and lend the uniqueness of that individual culture to the collective culture of America. There has not been a society. Most societies throughout history, most have been homogenous. And it has been one culture, one nation, and one state, which were all the same thing and completely inseparable. You couldn't tell the difference between the nationality and the state that they were affiliated with, because it was all homogenized. But in America, we have all of these unique individual identities, all of these unique individual cultures, all of these unique backgrounds, all coming in, filtering into this pot. And as a result, the pot itself changes, and it must change. It has no choice but to change. And therein lies the struggle of today. The struggle of today is between people who realize that our differences make us stronger against people who are terrified of our differences and see any change from the 1950s, Leave It to Beaver, nuclear family, one man, one woman, two children, conservative values, they see any change in that as terrifying. But I would advise people like that, people who are afraid of change, people who are afraid of seeing marriages not look like what they used to look like in American history, people who are afraid of seeing different colors of skin being represented in every level of government and in your neighborhood and in your schools. And not only that, but also our unique perspective and our unique ideologies and our unique religions and faiths all having an equal place at the seat of America. I would advise people who are terrified of that to realize that what those men, those white men did when they signed the Declaration of Independence and when they signed the Constitution was they made a promise that was bigger than them. They made a promise that was bigger than their own racism. It was bigger than their own white supremacy. They did something bigger than themselves. And that's why I think they were geniuses, because they made promises based on the idea that America was going to be better and bigger than any place else in the world. And that in America, all men and women and religions and no religion and orientations and ableism and every person who is born in these shores or gains their citizenship, no matter where they've come from, no matter how much we disagree with them, every one of us is equal. So I don't have to choose. I don't have to choose between my Black culture and my American culture, because they're completely, entirely inseparable. You cannot take Blackness out of America. You would completely rewrite American history. America would not be America without the Black contribution, period. So I don't have to choose. They're both one and the same. And maybe the place we need to get to is for the people who don't have these uniquenesses to start identifying with all of the uniquenesses that are being introduced to America. I know that's a little ambiguous, so I'll make it a little simpler. What I'm saying is, instead of telling us that we need to be more like you or that we need to choose, maybe America is really about those people who feel privileged enough to not have to decide. You know, those people who not only feel, but are privileged enough to not have to decide whether or not they're going to be Black today or they're going to be American today, never have to consider the color of their skin, never have to consider the privilege of their religion, never have to consider the privilege of their orientation, never have to consider the privilege of their gender. Maybe the real test of America is whether or not people like you can drop all that you know and start seeing the world through the eyes of everyone you look at as different. See the world through the eyes of a gay person. See the world through the eyes of a woman. See the world through the eyes of a marginalized minority. See the world through the eyes of an atheist. Instead of seeing everyone as an enemy, instead of seeing everyone as the problem that needs to change to be more like you, why not just take a moment and be bigger than your own bigotry and be bigger than your own fears? It's not always bigotry. Sometimes it's just fears. So fear. Sometimes it's just inhibition. Sometimes it's just, you're just hesitant. You know, sometimes it's just, you know, this is something different that you've never been introduced to. I get it. I get it. But maybe America is really just waiting on you to step outside of your comfort zone and try to see the world through the lens of someone else. And I think that is our reasonable, I don't want to blaspheme, I don't use a blasphemous phrase, but I don't have a better phrase than this. As Americans, I think that is our reasonable service. I was gonna take another break, but I'm gonna close it out here. This is what I want you to know. Being away from my family just for 2 weeks was one of the most difficult things that I've had to do. I'm so dependent on the support and the love and being surrounded by my family. And every moment that I thought about being away from my family, I started to think about the men and women in uniform who are separated from their families for 6 months at a time, 12 months, years. We can talk about the nobleness of their cause. We can talk about all that later. We can talk about whether the wars that we're engaged in are just wars. Should we even be there in the first place? We could talk about all of that later. And I'm definitely open to discussing that. But if you just think about the sacrifice that these men and women make being separated from their families for months and years to be put on the battlefield, it makes me realize that they should not sacrifice alone. They shouldn't. They should not be the only ones doing the difficult thing, because they are. But we who are back here, and just one more clarification. This is Memorial Day. We're talking about those who have given their lives, not the ones that have come back, not the veterans, right? We're talking about those that have given the ultimate sacrifice. Do we not owe it to them to do the difficult thing here as citizens? The easy thing is for us to just argue with each other and to hate each other and to use propaganda to try to get our political agenda forwarded. That's the easy thing. The easy thing is try to malign someone just because we don't see eye to eye. The easy thing is just for us to, that's easy. We do that well. The difficult thing would be to just take a moment and to try through empathy to identify with someone with whom we disagree, to listen to their perspective, even when their perspective burns us on the inside, to consider the fact that we could be wrong about some things and that the people that we hate might actually be right. And this goes both ways. That is the difficult thing. That is the tedious, painful thing for us to do. But is that not just the most reasonable thing that we can ask as American citizens, that our soldiers who have died and those who survived and came back, isn't that kind of just like the basic, that's the most basic thing that we can do as Americans, would be to just for one moment consider someone else's perspective. And for one moment, listen to the person that we vehemently disagree with. I'm going to get out of here, but I want to play one thing for you. I think I still have it in my queue. If I don't, I'll just go to my closing music. But it's from a movie, and I've played it before on the show. Let's see if I can find it. But I don't see it here. There it is. There it is. I see it. Okay. And it's the best president, the best movie president that we ever had, President Andrew Shepard. And I want you to listen to what he's asking us as Americans and letting us know that America isn't easy. And I want you to consider that on Memorial Day while you're doing your barbecuing. Save some for me. But in the midst of barbecuing, I want you to understand that you need to sacrifice something. We all need to sacrifice something. And if no other day but today, sacrifice our egos, sacrifice our political rigidity, and consider someone else's perspective. And then once you've done that, I want you to join me back here on Wednesday at 7:30 in the morning. This is Andrew Shepard. If I can get it to play.
America isn't easy. America is advanced citizenship. You've got to want it bad because it's going to put up a fight. It's going to say, you want free speech? Let's see you acknowledge a man whose words make your blood boil, who's standing center stage and advocating at the top of his lungs that which you would spend a lifetime opposing at the top of yours. You want to claim this land as the land of the free? Then the symbol of your country cannot just be a flag. The symbol also has to be one of its citizens exercising his right to burn that flag in protest. Now show me that. Defend that. Celebrate that in your classrooms. Then you can stand up and sing about the land of the free.
And until that moment comes, when we, the Americans, are able to accept the fact that on that continent we are trying to forge a new identity for which we need each other, that I am not a ward of America. I am one of the people who built the country. Until this moment.
That we are brothers. It's not a question of Jews or Christians or Muslims. We're all in the same boat.
We need each other.
Love is a condition so powerful. It may be that which holds the stars in the firmament.
Until this moment.
Love.
Until this moment.
Love.
Until this moment.
I come to you today to say that we can build a newer and better nation. I say we can do so, that we must do so, and that we will do so.
You've tuned in to The Benjamin Dixon Show. Visit us online at www.thebenjamindixonshow.com.